when you push yourself out of your comfort zone, do difficult things, and build skills that will last a lifetime, you'll never be lost again.
The Rebelle Rally is a triathlon of rally. It consists of a couple of different formats: compass and map challenges and enduro challenges, either being en route or on time. From a safety standpoint and a permitting standpoint, it couldn't be a race for speed. People want that. There are enough races out there. They're great races. It had to be for stock manufactured vehicles. I didn't want people to have to go put in a roll cage. I didn't want them to have the intimidation of speed and risk keep them from saying yes. I knew too, the second that you take out speed, how do you win? Better be a great format.
So the Rebelle Rally format is no GPS, no phones, no laptops, no technology. Any GPS system in your vehicle is disabled. There's no maps that are digitally displayed. You actually are given paper maps. You have to use a compass, you have to use old school plotting tools and a pencil to actually translate what is on your paper map to what you see around you. Then you're given checkpoints. So these checkpoints are who knows where on this map. You're giving them in latitude and longitude format, which that format is used worldwide. Anyone from any country can come and do our event because it's a format that's used there as well. Once you're given those coordinates, you have to plot those on the map. You actually have to know how to plot a latitude and how to plot a longitude on a paper map using your pencil and a minute ruler.
I love the challenge of compass and map, reaching checkpoints based on human skill.
It's very, very hands-on. Once you've plotted those checkpoints, then you have to make decisions about how do you even get to those checkpoints. What are the roads that you can get to? Can you drive up this canyon? Do you have to cross massive amounts of dunes to get those checkpoints? You also have to work together as a team to manage your time because you only have a certain amount of time to get these checkpoints. The checkpoints have open and closing times. They're always listed in hours from your exact start time. If a team manages to get a flat, they get really lost, something happens, and they don't get to their green checkpoint on time, they're not allowed to collect any more checkpoints until the next green checkpoint. These open and closing times really help us to keep everything safe because it keeps all of the teams together.
Time becomes another adversary. Because if you miss 10 minutes up here, 10 minutes by the end of your day somehow turns into like 45 minutes. And 45 minutes is 2 checkpoints if you're doing it right.
What we learned from the first year, I'll tell you the biggest thing we learned from the first year was to give ourselves our own personal closing times for all of the different checkpoints so that even if the checkpoint doesn't close until 4 o'clock, let's say, we know that we need to get to that checkpoint by 2 o'clock if we want to get the rest of it.
I won't call it a race, but I also won't say that time is not a paramount part of this game.
These checkpoints we list in 3 difficulties. So there's the green checkpoints, which are the easiest to get to. They usually have big green flag. They're still out in the middle of nowhere, but they're easier to get to. They're usually based on some sort of road. You can find them. And then we've got the blue checkpoints, which are definitely harder. No big flag. Sometimes there's a small blue flag. Sometimes it's just a little blue post in the ground. So when you get there, you'll know you're there. But we also have different courses throughout the days. So just because you see a blue pole or a blue flag, you don't necessarily know that it's yours. So you still have to know where you are all of the time. And then we've got the black diamond checkpoints. So just like skiing, just like on the slopes, the black diamonds are the hardest. There is nothing there to show you that you're there. So you just have to know that you've driven a certain distance, you've gone a certain heading, you've read the map correctly, and then when you get there, you have to say, I think we're there, and you signal your tracker. If you're at one of your checkpoints, then you get a latitude and longitude on the tracker, you know where you are, you can plot that on the map, you say, okay, I know I'm here, this is my checkpoint, and now we can move on to the next one.
Rally is normally lowest score, and people, who win with the lowest score, but then you'll see people down that have thousands and thousands of penalty points and no way to come back. And so I didn't want that.
The easiest checkpoints, the green checkpoints, are worth the most. That originally, is so counterintuitive, but everyone's on board with that now because those easy ones are still really hard to get to, and you still have to really know what you're doing. And then the blue checkpoints and the black diamond checkpoints, those ones are just additional on top. And so if you get a couple of green checkpoints and a couple of blue checkpoints in a day, you're still getting 70% of the score. So you're still getting a C, you're still passing the class. It's not demoralizing. You're just like, I didn't get any black diamond checkpoints today. If they were worth 20 points, that would be terrible. When you came in, you'd be like, all right, I'm out of the game. I can't ever get back up.
It pushes you to get over the fact of making a mistake. So you go, oh, I made a mistake. Well, I better throw that in the back seat and keep looking out the windshield, because I've got work to do.
Wood canyon. We got wood back there. There's wood in that canyon.
Would you say we're right on it?
I would say we're right on Wood
Would
Canyon.
you say we're right on it? Wish us luck.
We are really lucky that we've paired with YB trackers for our GPS communications. We know where our teams are all the time. We know where they think that they are all the time. Everyone at home can utilize all of this technology that we have with GPS satellites, the Iridium satellites. All of this information comes to us as the scoring team so quickly, and we're able to process that, turn it back around, and do real-time scoring. One of the main things that we are always trying to do is make it more automated. When I first started rallying, everything was hand-timed, written down on a scorecard or a time card. All of that stuff had to get manually processed, manually added up. It took hours and hours, if not days, if not weeks, for scores to come in. We've developed it so we're within 2 minutes, I think, is like the general lag time at the most that it takes us. Penalties are being applied automatically. There's not things that we can miss out there. One of the most common penalties we have is called a wide miss penalty. And that's when you signal your tracker outside of the radius of one of your checkpoints. The black diamond checkpoints have a bullseye style radius where the middle of the bullseye is full points, and every time you get out of that radius a certain amount, then it's less 1 point. But they have an outer ring where as long as you're within 300 to 400 meters, and that's specified for the competitors, you don't get penalties. We say you're close enough to your black diamond checkpoint that we're not going to penalize you. If you are outside of that radius, or you're at someone else's blue checkpoint, or you're at someone else's green checkpoint, then you get a 10-point penalty. Sometimes we say that the wide miss penalty is a payment for information because that tracker tells you what your latitude and longitude is. So you can get super lost, call dispatch, and you can say, I need help getting back on, I need to know where I am. Or you can fix it yourself by signaling your tracker paying the 10-point penalty and knowing what your current latitude and longitude is. You can then plot that on your map and know exactly where you are. You don't get any more penalties until the next time you've signaled your tracker in one of the radiuses for your checkpoints.
I didn't want that system where you're just constantly worried about incurring penalties. Penalty, penalty. It's a beatdown. Instead of being focused on penalties, it's just focused on how can I get the great score? How can I play it safe yet have calculated risks?
That system of the wide miss penalty took us a few years to develop because we didn't realize what some of the problems were going to be for the teams out in the field. It's a completely new format. We didn't know what they were going to end up going through. While that penalty was not very popular the first year that we proposed it, the teams now really appreciate it because it's a payment for information that they can use at any point to know exactly where they are.
Essentially what I had to do is I had to create a triathlon of rally. I needed a number of different types of formats so it could take place on public land.
The Rebelle Enduro challenges, they use a traditional rally roadbook, which is just a series of instructions. And these roadbooks are used worldwide, and they're so inherent to rallies everywhere in the country that we felt like it was very important to have them be a part of our event. There are different aspects of reading these roadbooks that some people love, and then other people just absolutely hate them. Sometimes the instructions tell you to go an average speed. Now, how you calculate whether you're going that average speed is then a lot of math to figure out if you have gone the right distance at the right time. There are really complex odometers that will tell you that kind of thing. We don't allow those at our event. We only allow very basic odometers that are accurate, but they only tell you how far you've gone. The scoring for the on-time enduros is such that you can only be a few seconds off to get full points.
Okay, same speed.
It's similar to the Black Diamonds where you have kind of that bullseye where time-wise you're trying to make it within several seconds of your key time, the time that you're actually supposed to be at any given spot along the route. Those are some pretty complex situations that make you think on your feet, do math really quick. We allow calculators, but you have to always be knowing, here's the average speed I'm given, here's how far I've gone, here's how much time it's taken me. Am I at the right time? Have I crossed this mileage at exactly the right time? Which is very difficult. Once the driver and navigator get good at it, it's super, super rewarding.
Okay.
The game in the Rebelle has been elevated to such a high level. You know, a lot of times Emily and I are out there setting up courses and we're like, how are they going to get all this done? Then they rip through it and they're done at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're like, I mean, we were driving around and we have GPS and I know where I'm going. And I mean, I know all these roads and, you know, it took us till 6 o'clock. And how are they doing this? Just the efficiency. But I think that takes a long time and a lot of practice. And I don't think there's very much stuff that, I mean, yeah, you can be naturally good at certain things, but until you practice it, until a lot of the minutia becomes instinctive, then it's not going to work.
So in the beginning, the competitors could only train so much what they thought the event was going to be. So as the competitors evolved, we evolved the competition. It's pretty impressive to see who puts the work in. You can tell on course, you can tell on scoring, you can tell just in the demeanor of the competition. If you put the work in, you're going to get the results.
I mean, the bottom line is you're trying to get everything done. Because you know there's somebody else in another car that's also trying to get everything done. You can say all you want, like, oh, we're just gonna do our best and have fun. Once you're out there, it really does become something else. You've put a lot of time and effort into this, and yeah, I wanna do well.
The rookie teams are coming more prepared than ever, and it makes it for a better competition. There's more information out there. There's other people that have done this event that can share the information. There's so many more trainings than there were in the past.
Now the competitors have really figured out the game, that we've got returning competitors, which means that we need to not necessarily change the game, but we need to figure out ways to make it more challenging.
I like the new challenges and the twists because as veterans, it kind of spices up and keeps the competition fresh and challenging. 'Cause you're not there because you don't like a challenge. You like a challenge, but you have to stop and think about, well, what's Emily Miller's intent for this challenge? What does she want us to do? It kind of helps to get in the mindset of how she, what goal she's trying to achieve. Let's say, for example, last year, she gave us some checkpoints that were in no particular order. You chose the order that you got your checkpoints. How do we strategize for this? How do we do this in the way that gets us the maximum points? So you had to think, and you had to stop on course and go, okay, what are we going to do? Don't just barrel through because you might, not do the thinking that Emily Miller wants you to do to handle that challenge. I love them.
We change the challenge by either making them hard for the driver, hard for the navigator, and then the really hard ones are the ones that are hard for both. The teams that are the best are so flexible. All of these things go back to the roots of rallying, the roots of navigation, and the roots of driving.
It's crazy how good they are. I don't think it should intimidate somebody, but you just, prepare for a couple years of learning, because they've been doing it for, how many years have we been doing this now?
I think the short answer is the competition's evolving, just like everything else.